going to turn to Rabbi Feinberg, Executive Director with the Interfaith Action for Human Rights. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Rabbi Charles Feinberg. As said, I'm the Executive Director of Interfaith Action for Human Rights, which represents people of faith who educate and advocate in Maryland, the District, and Virginia for correctional systems that avoid unnecessarily punitive practices, such as solitary confinement, and that instead focus on rehabilitation and successful reentry. I commend the Council for taking up legislation that will expand the number and kinds of records that can be sealed, and I support the Second Chance Amendment as well as the Criminal Record Expungement Amendment. However, I'm disappointed that this legislation does not go far enough. The legislation does not address granting eligibility for expunging serious felonies, nor does it include simplified waiting period and simplified burdens of proof. Furthermore, the legislation should mandate clear rules on how sealed records may be accessed and used. It should also give clearer guidance to our courts to decide motions, as well as limiting the time for court to decide a motion to seal. Finally, the legislation should make the instructions on how to file simple and easy to read. People should be able to file without hiring an attorney. The basic question that I think we all have to address is how many times and how long do we punish someone who is convicted of a crime? Or even more seriously, how long do we punish someone who is just arrested and not convicted of a crime? Once convicted of a felony, a DC resident becomes incarcerated in the Bureau of Prisons. He or she spends a number of years there. While there, they do not receive adequate educational, psychological, and medical services they need to help them make different decisions for themselves. Many have served lengthy sentences, and they return to a city that has dramatically changed since they lived here. Many are not prepared to re-enter, and many do not have homes to return to. And so they return to the district, and the punishment does not end. Do we provide housing for those returning from prison? No, we really don't. Do the landlords want them? No, they don't. And here is another barrier that is so difficult to overcome: finding a decent and affordable place to live. Many then have to jump from one couch in one house to another, and too often end up living on the street. The same barriers apply to seeking employment. Since our incarceration system does not provide coherent and meaningful educational programs, too many leave prison without the knowledge and skills needed to survive in a modern economy. And as we heard, many colleges and universities do not welcome their applying for admission. What do? We haggle over how long the records of those returning from prison should be open and when they can be sealed. We put up one barrier after another that returning citizens have to navigate and somehow bypass in order to live and prosper. The overwhelming percentage of those affected are Black and brown people. This city desperately needs political leadership that first and foremost will teach us not to fear people returning from prison. The fear of returning citizens blinds us from seeing their humanity, and the fear of returning citizens causes us to continue punishing them for years after they completed their time in prison. People should be punished once and not in successive ways. The fear of returning citizens prevents us providing the services they need in order to succeed and live at peace with themselves and with others. This legislation is a step forward, and I commend it, but it is an insufficient step forward. We need bolder steps and more ambitious programs for those returning. So I encourage the leaders of our community to lead and not to be afraid. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this testimony.
Thank you very much.